Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, I'm slightly stuffy, so we're going to have to deal with it. But as you can see from my thumbnail here, which I just stuck in the video, there is, I'm sure you've seen these thumbnails and all this stuff on YouTube. If you're trying to look into how to get rid of all this spyware and all this stuff, you're going to see a bunch of thumbnails or descriptions of people claiming that all you need to do is pull some sort of fuse. Now this thumbnail here, this thumbnail right here, this thumbnail, and this thumbnail are all from the same channel that just kind of appeared not too long ago. It's called Motor Truth, and it is nothing but AI slop, and it has less videos than me and more subscribers, which is very disheartening. Okay, this one right here, this is from a channel called Sydney Explains or something like this. I just checked on that. It is also a channel that's only been around not even a year. It has way more subscribers than me, and from best I can tell, is nothing but AI slop. Also disheartening. But if you look at all of these thumbnails here, a fuse does not look like that. This is obviously, if a fuse is zapping you in this way as you're pulling it, obviously it gets your attention, but you have a problem there. A fuse does not look like this. You would never pull a fuse out this direction, obviously. And this looks like it could be a module that was pulled out. This is the most believable of them. All of these thumbnails and the related videos that go with them are nothing but AI slop trying to tell you that all you need to do to disable your spyware is simply remove the fuse. This guy down here, this is a real dude, and he has a lot of videos on spyware and stuff in general. I think his name is Studio Hot Rods or something. I've seen a couple of his stuff, not really my style. He is, for all those people that say that I cuss and stuff too much, if you want similar sort of information I'm giving you in this sort of news and politics and anti-spyware playlist I have, this is the guy you're going to want to check out. He is very family friendly, and if you're into the whole religion thing, he does some sort of Bible stuff at the very end. So if you find my personality why I say abrasive, this guy's the exact opposite of me, so you may want to check him out. Now, with all that being said, he made this one video, I think, to kind of jump on this little pulling of the fuse bandwagon, but in his other videos, he has actually talked about and shown how to truly disable tracking devices in your cars. And by tracking devices, I'm talking about, for GM vehicles, OnStar. For other vehicles, it could be called the TCU, the Telematics Control Unit, or it could be called the TCM, the Telematics Control Module, okay? Depending on what they are and in what car and on the year, what you have to do is different for every single model. Now, in the background of the video here, as I'm talking, I am playing my video that I made a few weeks ago about how to actually disable OnStar the correct way in using my cruise as an example. There's a earlier cruise, so OnStar and the newer examples, they tie into different sorts of things, and you'll need to research exactly what you're doing. But my video is an overall kind of like bird's eye view of how to do it, and is if you have a Chevy vehicle that is in the same model year run, several year span as my car, it will be the exact same, just the location of the module may be different. Now, why is it that everyone is trying to tell you, or why all these AIs are trying to tell you to stop pulling the fuse, or all you need to do is pull the fuse? Well, simply pulling the fuse is what is considered the easy way of doing it. And I got this comment on my video asking the exact same thing, and I explained in the comments, but I figure, it deserves a video on its own as to why just pulling the fuse is not the correct way of doing it. Imagine this. You have a house, okay, you get a leak in your roof. You need to fix that leak. But instead of fixing that leak, you decide to just throw a tarp over it and call it good. The issues, the leak, the hole in your roof, the destroyed shingles, the tar paper is all bad, like all of that stuff, the rotted out subframing and all that stuff under the roof itself, all of that is still there. And by doing the tarp over top of it, all you're doing is just kind of putting a Band-Aid over the situation. So when all you do is pull the fuse, all of the other stuff that is related to the spy modules in your vehicle All of that is still there. So the problem itself is still there. You have just maybe done a temporary solution to that. And I say maybe because truly we don't know. The only way that you will be able to for sure make sure your car is not spying on me is to go through the entire process, or spying on you, I should say, is to go through the entire process and make sure you remove every single bit of it. Not every bit of things can be removed because they tie into other things, which is exactly why the fuse pull is not correct. So if we just take the OnStar, the earlier OnStars for in general, of removing the stuff from it, they had a fuse specifically labeled for OnStar. You can pull that and it would cut the power to the OnStar portion of the actual box inside the car, but attached to that box is still the OnStar antenna that can or cannot still be picking up and sending signals if it is still connected to that box. Inside there are two separate circuit boards. One is a dedicated circuit board to the OnStar itself. Another is a circuit board that actually has other things running into it, and they are connected by, it's some sort of electrical connector between the two that runs power from one module to another. So in between those two circuit boards, there is still stuff being transmitted if all you do is pull that fuse. There's no way of saying, hey, this is actually done. All you have done is killed the power to the OnStar button and switch, like up in your rear view mirror that you're used to seeing, or maybe if they had controls on the steering wheel at any given time. All you've done is cut the connection off to those control points, not necessarily the connection to the module or to any information that's being sent. Also, along with that, for OnStar, the way OnStar functions is you can go out and talk to an OnStar person. It's like a phone in your car, okay? It's running off of a signal like that. So there's also a microphone built into your car. If you pull just a fuse, that is not cutting off the microphone and what is being picked up and what is being listened to as you sit there and just go about your day talking in your car. All of that is still being picked up, heard, and recorded. The only way to get rid of that is to actually physically remove the microphone so you cannot be heard again. Okay, and then you add into the fact now that new cars are going to have all sorts of different cameras in there looking at you. That's a video I'm going to do here in the future. But all of that stuff is still there. That is still the damaged portion of the roof that's still there underneath the tarp, which is just the removal of the fuse. Now, the way I always look at everything is overkill is underrated. If you're going to do something, you need to do it properly and fully to make sure it is 100% dead. Now, on to that point of everything that you may need to do. It is going to be different depending on what your vehicles are, what year your vehicle is, and where the location is and exactly what is tied into those modules. So in my car, going through that OnStar module is also the air antenna for AM and FM radio. And possibly in that module, I'm not 100% sure, is I think traction control and ABS could also potentially be ran through that module itself. So I could not just go and take and fully remove that box and expect the rest of the car to function correctly. And this is the rub. A lot of cars, a lot of vehicle manufacturers integrate all the different systems in some way, form, or fashion. That is why cars are so complicated at this given time. So I cannot just remove that box and expect that to be good to go too, because then it will cause all sorts of issues at some other point in my car. I saw a guy who, he had an older Chevy around my year, I think, truck, and he disabled OnStar in it, kind of similar to the way I did it. And then he ended up getting like a newer one. And at that point in time, they changed what was labeled as the OnStar fuse to just information fuse. But also, it was not just a standard 2-prong fuse anymore. It was a three-prong fuse, because through that 3-prong circuit that the OnStar is then pulling off of, it was also running, I can't remember what else he said, but let's just say it was running ABS, traction control, and something else. 3 other things are running through there. So he couldn't just pull that fuse and everything not work, because you would lose all of those things as well as OnStar. So the 3-prong fuse had to be pulled and had to be replaced with a 2-prong fuse to just jump the systems that are still needed. So you can't just rely on just the fuse pull, because the fuse pull is assuming that all things are made exactly the same, in which they are not. Everything seems to be integrated in some way, form, or fashion. From what best I can tell, the little bit I've been looking, is some Ford trucks, new-ish ones. I don't know the years, but those seem to be the easiest ones to disable because their TCU is a fully standalone module that is pretty easily accessed either behind in the cab, behind some trim like on the back wall, or maybe on the floor, and you can literally just move that trim out of the way, unplug the little antenna center going in there, unplug the box itself, take the box away, and everything else in the vehicle works just fine. No problem whatsoever, okay? Then you look into Toyotas, and if you try to remove the TCU from some of those Toyotas and Lexus models, it will kill just one speaker in your vehicle. So you have to make some sort of jumper harness that jumps what was the TCU in the car to make sure that you still have speakers and radio going through that other speaker. Dodge, I can't remember what I saw when I looked into this, but there's like an even bigger kind of jumper harness that you have to make between the two because it really affected a lot of stuff. I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you have any of those vehicles, you need to research that yourself if you're planning on getting rid of it. But in those other examples, aside from Ford, if all you do is pull the fuse, you're losing all that other stuff to begin with. So pulling a fuse is not the way to do it. For older models, can you get away with pulling the fuse and possibly not having to worry about being tracked? Maybe. I honestly don't know. You would need to look into that and see. But if any of that stuff is still there, the way I look at it, there's still the possibility of it being there. It means that it is still can be used in some other way, form, or fashion. And we also need to remember this. This video and all these other videos are being posted on YouTube, okay? There is an upswell of people that don't want to be tracked. Guess who also has access to YouTube? All of these car manufacturers. So they are going and they are seeing what people are doing to their vehicles to disable all this tracking stuff. Because now we live in a point to where the most valuable thing out there, it's not money, it's not gold, it's none of that stuff, it's not power, it is data. It is the control and aggregation of people's data. GM got caught in California. And this did not just happen in California, but California was one that caught and sued them. And they were made $20 million from selling off people's driving data that was harnessed through OnStar to LexisNexis and Verisk. And then LexisNexis and Verisk were going around and selling off that data to anybody that wanted to pay for it. So these people bought a car thinking they were just driving around. They were being spied on. Their habits were being captured, their voices and what they talked about were being captured, and all that stuff was then sold to a third party, and then that third party then sold all that information to somebody else. So GM made money on their vehicles, GM made money by selling your data, and then the data aggregator companies then made money by selling that data yet again to anyone else that wanted to pay. Most of the times the people that wanted to pay were insurance companies, and the insurance companies ended up going up and raising the rates on people just because they were driving in a car being spied on by factory spyware. So all of these companies know that your data is invaluable to them. So since they are seeing this giant upswell of people pushing back and trying to end all of this, I am calling this now. I am making a prediction. Some people don't like when I make predictions, but I don't care. This is what's going to happen. They will integrate their spyware more and more into other systems of the car to make it even more difficult to get rid of and disable. And this, I think, is what they're really going to start doing, especially for all these people that come across these AI videos and just think that, oh, this is all I need to do. I will pretty much guarantee you that at some point in time, they will put in an extra slot in the fuse box, and most fuse boxes have extra spots for you to wire up different sort of things that if you want to add different circuits into the fuse box to begin with, they already have empty spots. In one of those empty spots, they will put it labeled as OnStar, TCU, TCM, whatever vehicle specific thing it will be, and they will have that fuse in that fuse box for people to see these AI videos, go, oh, that's all I need to do. They'll pull the fuse box and they'll pull that fuse out thinking they have actually done something, but that's just a dummy fuse to get the dummies who are believing this stuff to not go any further into actually disabling the spyware that needs to be disabled. So I am making that prediction right now. They will start putting in false fuses to get all these people here to think this is exactly, that's all they need to do to be able to get rid of the spyware, and they will still be able to continue to spy on people. But that's it. So why is pulling the fuse not the correct solution, not the only solution? For everything I've listed up there. And all this is done too, as doing this is made me decide that I'm going to have to start, I guess, going back to making my own thumbnails now. In the YouTube Studio, they have a way to generate thumbnails based off on the content of your video. And I figured it's saving me time, but if I look at this, all the same sort of thing, and these are all from the same AI channel, like I said, but also using the same titles like how smart drivers are doing this, how smart drivers are doing this, blah, 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 blah. So I guess I'm going to have to start going back to making my own thumbnails, which is kind of a pain in the ass when you're a car channel and like you don't have a cameraman. You're trying to figure out what's the best way to try and get a picture of something I'm working on, especially if it's something underneath the car where it's just a specific job, not an overall thing of, hey, look, I'm just working on this car. Like in general, I'm doing like a pinion seal replacement and rear end thing. Like it's really hard to get a picture of that under a car when you're laying on your back and it's not enough light. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to kind of do this to get, to make those things kind of appealing for people to see them again. But yeah, that's annoying. It's also annoying that make sure that these AI slop channels are just growing like crazy, and then YouTube just changed all of their rules and metrics that need to be hit for people to actually be able to get monetized on their stuff, which I'm glad I'm monetized on this now because holy crap, man, it's absurd. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for today, guys. So hopefully you understand now that doing just a fuse pull is not enough, and you need to go fully and get rid of everything if you for sure want to make sure that you are not going to be tracked and have your data stolen and all this stuff by these companies. If you want to see exactly how to do it in a GM, older GM model with a Cruise as a demonstration vehicle, and everything else should be pretty similar around here. You just got to find the location. And then as you get to the newer ones, the same sort of process inside, just the fuses and all that have changed for now. It will get even worse in the future. But yeah, I have this video, I guess, linked here, and I'll put it in the cards at the end. And just give that a look, and then follow that the best as you can to make sure you fully get rid of all this spyware in your own vehicle. We can't just do half measures. We have to go full on to get rid of it all and make sure it is officially dead. But all right, guys, that's all I got for today. So like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.